Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders who have also on real wall. And Shalom to the brothers and works certain truth. Yeah. Got this article on time. This is what the US is losing the global race to decide the future of money, and it could doom the almighty dollar. So, like in the article, they're just going into digital currency and how, globally, it's really been picking up. Like, people have been using a lot of digital payment currencies all over the world. China's like the key one, but there's other places as well. And as such, it's like the US ain't really even got on the radar. They ain't really got, been developing their system and more or less saying like, hey, look, if America don't step up, they're gonna be fat like that. The dollar's gonna slip out of that top spot that it's presently got. That's a big part of what maintains Esau's system. Is that petrodollar being at the top and everyone having to utilize it internationally. China is looking to challenge that. It's funny because that's this shows it's like, hey, prophecy speaking, man. That digital currency, digital method of of payment, it's now becoming just the normal of normals. And where's it going next? Well, being inside your body, not even having to have an external, any form of external system. So in cities across China, the country's central bank has been rolling out the e-renminbi, an all-digital version of the paper currency that can be accessed and accepted by merchants and consumers without an internet connection, credit, or even bank account. Yeah. So man, I got it to the point where it's not even you don't even need to be online. You can be underground in some slum somewhere, and you can still make transactions. As long as you got power on your device or whatever. It might even be don't even need that. It might just be like, card machine or something. Like you can use a card. So this is already having conducted more than $5 billion in e-renminbi transactions. Fuck away. China has opened its digital currency up to foreigners. Next year, when Beijing hosts the Winter Olympic Games, authorities expected to let the world test drive its technological achievement. Yeah, so you're gonna have it. Well, if we make it to next year, and they get to host their games, then you're gonna have it basically pushed out to a global scale, and that's the Chinese model. So that's really gonna ignite the fire up the arse of America to hasten theirs, because I think they've been researching it for a while, but even the research they're doing is it's not really looking to execute on anything just yet, but it's more or less show it, like most people have been saying, like, hey, look, if China gets the jump on this, US will fall out of favor. So the US is going to be pushing theirs swiftly to compete, and with that digitized currency, then makes the mark, implantable chip, that much easier to push out, man. The MLTB, that will get pushed out with ease underneath that system. So it says the US, in contrast, is having trouble even concluding its multi-year exploration into the possibility of an e-dollar. In fact, an up-and-coming Federal Reserve paper on the potential US digital currency won't take position on whether the Central Bank of the United States will or even should create one. Instead, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said in recent testimony to Congress, this paper will begin a major public consultation on central bank digital currencies. Once planned for July, the paper's release has since been moved to September. And all of these, yeah, they're all from the central bank, which is, so it's just country to country because they kind of go into it. Well, yeah, they'll say it down there. So once the world leading digital payments and technological innovation, the US is being outpaced by its top global adversary as well as much of the industrialized and developing world. The Bahamas recently announced the integration of its digital sand dollar into a stock exchange, while Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, and South Africa are moving forward with the world's first cross-border central bank digital currency exchange program, led by the Bank for International Settlements, which is known as the Central Bank of Central Banks. So yes, it's all about the central banks, more or less, and it's that government government control. Because even with China, and this is the real risk from China getting on top, because it's if the Chinese system becomes the standard, and this is why the US won't want it, then they basically can control the currency. They can limit its use in certain companies or fields. They can set expiry date on it. They can make it so you have to spend it in certain stores. They can make it so you can only spend it on certain products. All those kinds of things. They'll then have the capability to decide, okay, how's this going to be used? And that really shows as well. It's like when it goes digital, then it's not really like being used as like money as it was now, where you might just go to some guy on the street. I don't know, crackhead could take some notes and give it to a guy on the street, and then get something out of it. It's gonna be more like tokens because you're basically only gonna be able to utilize it. It's gonna be like food stamps. You're gonna be able to utilize it in certain places rather than just a general usage, which is what money's meant to be. You should exchange it for whatever the hell you want. So such developments have been somewhat outshined by El Salvador's recent decision to make Bitcoin a legally accepted currency, which we expect to make significant impact in the payment space. But outside of the cryptocurrency space, nations around the globe are making significant strides in development of the digital future of money, supported by governments and backed by powerful central banks. Yeah, so governments are pushing it, man. It's where once it was just kind of like, oh yeah, you know what, it would be a fun little game. Now, man, are executing on it, and that's the thing is like, especially with the crypto, they're saying the main advantage was like the speed of being able to send money, and ease and speed, and that's the thing. And then the other main thing was the autonomy. And that's like when the central banks, and that's the thing, it's like the central banks taking it up. It gets legitimized, you get advantages from it. But then it's like the whole point of the autonomy, that's gone out the window. Because why? This is a thing of getting the people to accept, the mark, the MOTB. That's why it's like, it was, with Bitcoin, you've got it kind of as, somewhat of it's meant to have been like a rebellious kind of currency where it's like, okay, it lets people just do what they want, where it's like people using it for like buying drugs, for doing all kind of backdoor deals on like the dark web and whatnot. But then now it's being set up as digital currency set up by governments. Then it's just it's they're able to track and and really know what people are spending on, man. It gives that ultimate and total control, which is that's why these elites is completely in line with what they desire. I don't think the US is aware there's a race. Digital currencies are the next wave in the evolution of the nature of money in the digital economy. Hyun Song Shin, economic advisor and co-leader of the monetary and economic department of the Bank for International Settlements, tells Time. As more of the world migrates from physical brick and mortar to wireless and cloud-based, the way we pay for things is changing as well. A central bank digital currency would operate just like cash, but instead of having to carry it in a physical wallet or put it into a bank account, it would be stored and accessed digitally. Not only could the US-backed digital currency facilitate easier modern banking, it could prove vital in protecting American international influence. Yeah, and that's the main one, because basically just like, hey, with the US influence, like the dollar is so key to the US influence. It's like if you lose that power, it's the impact's gonna be felt on a far higher level than just like, oh yeah, now it's what do you call it? Oh well, now it's just some digital Chinese dollars instead. They're gonna lose a lot of the scale of their influence, man, and China will take over. Says late to the party, the US is stepping up its research and public engagement on digital currencies. The Fed says including forming working groups on cryptocurrency and other kinds of digital money, and experimenting with technology that will be central to producing a digital dollar. Yeah, and then no surprise if we see, that mark pop up, man, because a lot of these digital currency systems as well, they link in with internet things, where you can just have it where that's why you have those stores in China where there's like what you call it, where you basically just walk out. There's no staff. That's the one. It's like you walk in and then you can just go grab some things. Might have to scan 1, 2 things and then just be like, okay, bang, and then leave and it comes out your account. All these things, and the thing is that's the angle they're getting you on, the convenience, the ease of use. But that makes basically everything traceable, which is the complete opposite of how money was. It used to be a thing like, okay, you might pay for something by card if you don't mind it being traced, and then you try and stick to cash when you're trying to just like stay off the grid. But now it's like people ain't even really fucking with cash like that. A lot of places ain't moving, really touching cash. And it's like, okay, everything's gone into cards. Some have gone into like you pay with your phone, and it's like, okay, everyone, like all forms of payments are being seen. And then what? That's where the control comes in. People say, oh yeah, why would they want to? I'm like, bruh, like you guys even know like what the nature of your government, man? All forms of power and control, once they're gained, they don't go anywhere, man. I remember watching something, they said like the FBI was meant to be temporarily instated. I think during what was it called? Prohibition. I think it was in the Prohibition era. They were instated, like the FBI was set up to stop illegal alcohol gangs, I believe. And then from then they just like stayed, and like they just kept making excuses to continue to exist. And now it's become like a central part of the US when it was meant to be a temporary thing. Same with the what you call it, what's this thing called, man? The Patriot Act. And same thing you're gonna see with all these powers that were granted to deal with this pandemic. Those things aren't gonna go anywhere. They're basically going to be utilized and say, okay, we're going to have these just in case we have another crisis of this scale, and make it much easier for us to act. So all these things, when gained, these things are utilized, man, because the main goal is what? It's control. It's having power over the people, man, over their minds, how they think, how they maneuver, so they can then push things in the direction where they want them to go, with as little resistance as possible. That's what you've seen happen. You've had people ground down over the course of this pandemic to now where they're accepting things where at the start, when I remember when it first started, people were kind of on edge, like, oh, really gonna, it's like, I don't trust that, blah blah blah. Now, man, are just like, yeah, just do it, just get back to normal. All done, man. Same thing with the money, where it's like, remember they started like with Oyster cards on buses. You'd have still had people paying, even when it cost more money. People still paying cash, just cause. And then they gave the kids the free Oyster cards, so all the kids are using it and they're getting used to it. And then even with the adult Oyster cards, it's like if you don't have an Oyster card, you can't travel. Oh well, an Oyster card or contactless card. And it was done, over the process of years. Same for like with stores with card payments, going from swipe to chip and pin, and then chip and pin to contactless, and then I remember you used to have like the Barclay Pay adverts where you'd have the guys like going on slides through stores to kind of show them and then just tapping it and leaving, and that was like, oh, it was like, oh, so interesting. Oh, you can just tap. That's crazy. And then now it's become the normal. Like people paying with their phone. People don't even leave the house with a wallet. They'll be like, okay, I've got my Apple Watch. They'll leave the office with just the Apple Watch on, and then just be like, okay, bang, pay through that. That's all you need. You got your phone, and it's like you're expecting to have access to all, to a variety of things just through that. And then that's why they'll say, okay, look, just skip the middleman and just implant it instead. And there's people already doing that willingly. There's people doing it of their own volition. That's how easy this thing's gonna be pushed. Because as far as when technology goes, people are ready to eat it, man. So this is what experimenting with technology produced the joy. The Fed's regional Boston branch is overseeing these efforts with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as Project Hamilton. But the path towards the digital US dollar has met many challenges, skeptics, and outright opponents, all while China and other countries push forward. That's a long ass article, man, but it's got some interesting shit there, because it really shows China's like just jumped on it, because it's like really like, yeah, how US influence will be affected, and that's the main one. It's about keeping the US on top, basically having everyone come onto the wave of how the US is doing it, man, up until this bitch gets burned. Read this. Revelation 13 and 15. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Yeah, everyone's out here in the mindset of worshipping the image of the beast before the marks even being pushed out on that scale, man. It's kind of been dropped, like with as a treatment for the C19. They dropped it as well. Like it's been amongst the military, amongst certain people, where it's been utilized. But as far as for that broad scale uptake, it's not where it's made mandatory for everyone to get it. That part ain't come yet. But everyone's already in the mind of worshipping the image of the beast. Everyone's out here and loving the system, completely engrossed within the system, and looking like, hey, look, this system is the only way we're gonna be able to, survive. It's the only way that shit can run, man. It's really that's what people really think it is. But what that trust, that faith they're gonna have, there's gonna be a reward for that, and I don't think it's quite what they think it's gonna be. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Yeah, receiving that mark, that implantable chip inside their right hand, left hand, or forehead. And that's basically just saying like, hey, look, as far as it goes, you know, just Esau, America, the whole system, they can do what they like, man. They have complete power over me. That's essentially what they're saying. It says that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Yeah, no man can buy or sell. That's why these things are being developed, and it's like once it takes root, because China's been on digital pay. Like China was on like contactless payments on the mobile, like from way before like yeah, kind of had the uptick in like Europe and the US as much. Not so much as places like the sort of Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, places like that, because they as well have been pushing to it. They're the ones that have been chipping themselves as well. You know, thinking that they're gonna become like a RoboCop or some shit. But yeah, it's that's what people are gonna be getting down with, man. People are gonna be jumping on it. People are gonna be clamoring for it. Cause why? They still wanna be able to participate in this society. And you can see it's pushing like a red light now. That digital currency is just becoming normal. But then what? They're gonna say, oh, there's X, Y, Z. There's it's always gonna be something that's for your benefit, as to why, like, oh, this way you should go get it. That's how it's gonna be with a monk. So they'll say, oh, it's for your benefit, for your safety, so you can keep your money, so no one can pretend to be you, so you don't know if you lose your phone. Because even with contactless cards, like you lose a contactless card, people just go around tapping if you don't cancel it straight away. So they'll just say, oh, this is easier. Funny as hell. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yeah, Bashem Yashab, Bashem Kakatach Pakata. Shalom.